we'll call it creative commercial in the middle of the show that which was fun. It took us, I won't talk about what it is. It took us a long time to decide whether we to create it. So we were in the middle of, we have a creative meeting every Tuesday where we talk about the storyline for every show. Shows are made 5 weeks in advance. We start off with an idea for a show at the 5-week mark. We identify some guests that we might want. We go through pitches, people that pitched us to be on the show. I would say that our show is maybe 35 to 40% pitches and about 60 to 70, 65, 75% us reaching out the other way. But anyway, and our goal with every show is to make it different than the show before. So even though we have the same, general lineup, headlines, and then featured guest, and then the trivia, and then the Haven Lifeline, we want inside of those, for each of those individual brackets to be different. And we also want to be different than what we did before. So we want it to be a little bit of a, circus, the greatest money show on earth, right? So we want to have some fun with that. So, but anyway, we came up with this during a creative meeting. We have some fun. OG and I have always had a little bit of an eye roll. Hey, Ivan, how are you, man? Hope you're doing well in New York. Man, I was on the phone, by the way, with our agent. I can say that I'm in the middle of a book proposal right now. We were talking, my co-author, Emily Guy Birkin, and I were talking to our agent today. Of course, our book is almost ready to go. And there's a lot of comedy in it, believe it or not. Shock. And we were talking about, is this a good time for comedy? And is there things that we need to do as we start pitching this book out there? So anyway, we, the whole time, by the way, Ivan, that we're on the phone with her in Manhattan, all I kept hearing was ambulances. It was just ambulance. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So glad to say, I hope you're doing all right. I hope everybody in New York is doing well, wherever you're at. I hope we're doing well. But the where was I? Oh, but anyway, so we're in our creative meeting, and I think it's no secret that while, mom always says, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? I do think that stopping at the Vanguard Total Market Index, when it's not that hard to find the right portfolio allocation for you, always makes OG and I roll our eyes a little bit. So we were having some fun today with VTSAX. We'll just leave it that way. It all of a sudden came to me in the middle of the meeting. I'm like, what if we created our own index? So hopefully you got to hear that today. That's probably one of the funniest for us. Your results may differ, but one of the funniest things for us. Lori, thanks for sending me that piece about the Citadel. I still haven't had time to look at it though, but it is awesome to see so many people, especially at the Citadel where I went to school, people doing so many things. I know that there's a shuttered General Motors factory here where they're making a lot of equipment. It was closed before. It's now cranking out equipment for people, which is cool. We had a lot of April Fools going on today. This is the one thing that wasn't April Fools. I think on the show today, we had enough April Fools fun, didn't we? So I'm wondering, while we get this thing going, maybe we can share some good television with each other. We can talk about that. If you've got questions about this market, about your strategy, about self-employment stuff, I'm going to talk about that for a second, even though this Friday on the show and next Friday, we're going to cover it. If you're somebody that knows a business owner and they don't know about something called the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, you need to tell them about payroll protection, because of the fact that this is going to keep more people employed. Basically, what happens is if you're a business owner and you sign up for this and you use the money for payroll, the government is going to give employers 2 months worth of payroll. It's much more technical than this, but this is the heart of the issue. Going to give 2 months payroll, and they'll cover it. It is a loan that is completely forgiven. So I would definitely sign up for that. Employers have to cover the employment tax piece of it, the FICA tax. So they've got to cover that. However, there also is going to be money back on your taxes for that. So you're going to get that covered later. So in different ways, the whole thing's going to be covered. If you know somebody who owns a business that employs people, please tell them about the PPP. I was telling people about it this morning. It was pretty funny. Yeah, I bet it surprised you. It even surprised me. You know, we put these together, these shows, Eric, a piece by piece, and when I heard it come on in the middle of the trivia, I even laughed. Susan's here. It's about time you got here, Susan. We can start now. So whatever you guys want to talk about, television, I can talk a little bit to that, stuff coming up on the show, this financial market, anything we can do to talk about, anything while we're all doing the right thing and staying at home. Let's take a look at the market while we're at it. Oh, it's only down 1,000 points right now. Only down 1,000 points. Probably better to be here doing this than looking at that, huh? All right. So let's talk a little bit about television. And I'm going to start off with one myself, because I was not going to sign up for Disney Plus, but because of the fact that we have so much time, I am a Verizon customer. So I went and you pay for it, but it's supposedly free, right? It's added in. I went and I subscribed, knowing full well that I'd consume the hell out of Disney Plus, being a Disney fan like I am. I've already watched this Imagineer thing. It's amazing. I think I'm going to watch that 67 times just because it makes me excited about creating. But the Mandalorian, I heard people talking about the Mandalorian, and I thought, yeah, I don't know, more Star Wars stuff, but none of the main characters. Do I really care about that? Mandalorian's pretty damn good. So if you've got something that you want to talk about that you have been watching, and I'm kind of watching the comments over here while we go, tell me about that. Tiger King, by the way, I'm not really interested. Just there's nothing about that show. Kind of like Animals, not that it just looks like a train wreck in slow motion. I don't know that much about it, but I'm not sure that I want to spend some time with Tiger King. I'm going to get into this just a little bit today, because when I was on the call earlier that we were talking about, when I said hi to Ivan with our agent for this book that I'm working on, she brought up that it might not be the time for funny stuff. And I brought up that we've actually seen the opposite on our show. We've seen the fact that we've bucked the trend lately, initially when we weren't looking at coronavirus at all. And to be clear, there was a reason for that as well. I didn't want to focus on it. I think if you focus on the fundamentals of the fundamentals of the fundamentals, you have to keep just with the things that are the basics. The basics are more important now than they were 6 months ago. 6 months ago, you could get away with shortcuts. Now you can't get away with shortcuts. If you didn't practice the fundamentals and you were using shortcuts, I think you're seeing the effect of that now. In fact, it's funny for those of you playing our game where we're mimicking the Haven Life brackets, because there's no basketball going on right now. You're looking at these final two: automate your savings and having an emergency fund are in the finals against each other. Those are the most basic two things at all. And our audience has spoken loud and clear that those two things are the fundamentals. But so practicing the fundamentals, super important right now. And when we look at this market that keeps going down and down and down, and probably, frankly, if we're just getting into a 2-week period that we're being told is going to be worse, you should expect probably more of that, right? And if you're going to expect more, the fundamentals get more important than ever. Don't don't invest money that you can't afford to invest. Don't bet. I wouldn't be betting on individual companies right now, no matter what the rhetoric is around who's going to get saved and who won't get saved. Wouldn't bet on an airline because we think that airlines are going to get bailed out. Wouldn't do any of those things. So I'd really be incredibly careful about betting. But if you are somebody who has a job and your emergency funds in place and you have tightened the belt, right, to make sure you can get through with this, get through this, taking that money and investing it now while the market is low, even if it goes lower. Talking to OG the other day, and he's busy right now, otherwise we would have had him on again today. But OG was talking to me about talking to clients even now who are talking about, well, what if it goes down more? I don't know if I want to put my money in now. Yes, 20 years from now, it's not going to matter. Look at any chart, and if the economy is going to continue 20 years from now, it's not going to matter. So stick to the fundamentals. Automate your savings and save it first to the emergency fund, and then second into the right place. By the way, Farnoosh and OG on today's show talking about Fitness Bank. We got a question about Fitness Bank. I can't wait to. Can we get OG on screen? If you're actually available, I will. I'll shoot you the link. In fact, hold on, guys. I'm going to see if I can shoot him the link. OG, check Slack if you've got time. All right, so let's get rolling on some of your stuff. For some reason, it didn't show me any of what you guys were talking about, and now all of a sudden it just shows 50 comments at the same time. So I'm going to go through these. Automate savings. I agree, Rich. I am personally automate savings over emergency fund. I get why emergency fund is winning for those of you that have already voted on our finals, and that's going to run through the weekend. But I would say my personal feeling, if you automate your savings and you automate it, people don't save into their emergency fund. If you're left to your own devices, you don't do anything. You don't pay down extra debt. You don't put extra money away. Automating it, regardless of where it goes, is the number one thing. I think myself. So Epic History TV. Man, that sounds fantastic. That sounds amazing. Do you guys listen to Hardcore History, by the way? Hardcore History is just a fantastic podcast, a great podcast. And I find myself, leaning in intently. If I need to do yard work for any length of time, doing yard work with Hardcore History on, just a fantastic show. I can't believe how good it was. I also can't believe, Danny, that Disney, I don't know if you saw this, but Disney got broadsided with the Baby Yoda thing. Had no idea that Baby Yoda was. How can you watch that show and not think that Baby Yoda was going to be a hit? Don't know. Do you have a bear in the window? There in the basement for going on a bear hunt. I think this might be a big old bear, money saver. Might be a big old bear. Here he comes. I got to mute OG as he's getting ready to come on. Until he puts some headphones on or something. Yesterday, I really enjoyed when we reviewed yesterday. I like, if you love the Beatles, that's fantastic. And number two is if the Beatles, the end of the movie, sorry, I was just trying to think. The end of the movie, not incredibly satisfying, but the ride is still worth it. It's such a fun movie. All right, let's see if I can get OG on here. Hey, man.
What's up?
We don't have any video for you, and we also don't have a microphone for you. I mean, we can hear you, but you're very echoey.
All right. Well, give me a few more seconds.
So both of those. All right, we're gonna move him back, and all right. Yeah, Tiger King. How many people watching Tiger King? That it's all that I'm reading about.
You're not getting any audio from me today, though, or video from me today.
Gotcha. All right.
So that's just what you get.
Fantastic.
You might want to just hide me, though, because you're never going to see my pretty face.
Well, here's the question. I don't know. I can hear you. I don't know if everybody else can hear you when you're not on the stream. Oh, yeah. Good idea. Nope. There we go.
There you go.
Do you have any interest in watching Tiger King?
I know. I don't. I don't know anything about it, but it doesn't look very good for me.
Yeah, not good. So, all right, let's go back and see where we are. Eric says daughters have been watching Killing Eve. You know who else likes Killing Eve is our friend Brittany at Haven Life has been telling me to watch Killing Eve. Cheryl watched Killing Eve. Did you see that show?
Negative.
Swing and a miss. This is going to be a great conversation with OG and I. Did you see that? No. Did you see that? No.
Nope.
No. Didn't see anything. I thought you were going to be in meetings now. You have a rare hour off right now, huh?
Well, I had to move some meetings today because this weekend on Saturday or Sunday, I went to Lowe's because I had to get some stuff for the house, and I was doing some yard work, and I was really cognizant of not touching my face, and so I was doing some yard work, and so I was mowing and using the leaf blower. There's stuff everywhere, grass and all this other sort of stuff. So when I was all sweaty, I would use the bottom of my shirt to like that.
Oh no, really?
So then yesterday I woke up and I was like, what in the...
Is that what that was? Is this what we were talking about earlier, where you had this rash up and down?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I called a doctor who was able to help me last night. And I said, hey, I think that I have like poison ivy on my face, but it's not poison. We don't have poison ivy in the yard, but just, some sort of contact dermatitis is the professional term. So I went to bed last night, thought, okay, maybe it'll go away, and woke up this morning and like the left side of my face is all swollen. And so this doctor said, okay, I'll give you some medicine. You got to take some steroids and some cortisone cream, and drink Benadryl until you pass out so you don't itch it, because if you itch it, it's going to be really bad. So in the interest of safety and security for all of our clients, I decided it would probably be better not to have client meetings drunk on Benadryl. Also, usually it's the steroid pills, that steroid pack, right? Where you have like, you got to take like 6 of them in one day, then 5.
Have you, but hold on. I'm just thinking of like a top 5 list of things clients don't want to hear you say if you're drunk on Benadryl, and they're like things clients don't want to hear you say in their meeting. Like,
yeah, you're definitely going to have to work a long time. Your portfolio really took a dump.
What is our
brutal honesty, OG? It's like there's no velvet on the hammer.
Why does our financial planner keep talking about let's go all in? Like, why has he said let's go all in 5 times?
Yeah, or zoned out completely, like totally stoned on Benadryl. But the other thing, selfishly, also those steroid packs usually give me a pretty wicked migraine, and I knew, you got to kind of like hammer on those in the first day. So, anyways, if I was on camera today, as I was telling my doctor friend, it's a good thing I do a podcast and not a video program, because the whole left side of my face all looks like, crapola. So
Oh my God. Going back here, by the way, Colin, you're going to love the game Viticulture, one of my favorite games. I just found out today that you can play it on, it's called Tabletopia, and I haven't played on Tabletopia yet. We're trying to play on Board Game Arena, but for those of you that know Board Game Arena, you know that it's been hard as heck to play games on there. But Tabletopia has Viticulture. So that might be good. Danny, is it, do you think it's fun to play Pandemic now? Or is that a little too meta?
I was wondering if we should watch the movie Outbreak with the kids.
I saw that that's trending on Netflix.
I did too.
It's crazy. What else we got? Colin asks, is Farnoosh going to be a regular replacement for you, or was that just April Fool's fun? OG, you want to answer that one?
I don't know what's April Fool's.
I know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't even know what Colin's talking about. So Philip asks, how low do we think it will go? It's like it's like a limbo contest, OG. It looks like it's 1,000 points lower today.
Yeah. So I was talking to somebody earlier today briefly about this, kind of the planning on retiring in 6 years, this client. And he goes, I know it's long-term and stuff, but hey, shouldn't I have some of this, have this money? I said, well, let's play a game. Two things to think about. Firstly, remember back in 2012 and 2013, when the 08-09 recession was in the rearview mirror, and safely so at that time. And you said to yourself, gosh, I wish I made the money then that I do now, because I would have totally, whatever. I would have totally been investing like crazy. And I wish. Well, guess what? Today's that day. You make 2 times as much money probably as you did in 2008. And it's happening. It's unfolding right before your eyes. And I don't want you to be, if you're sitting there and you're saying, well, should I make strategic investments, or, should I make some bets on, you were talking earlier about don't pick individual stocks. It's a loser's game. And it's totally about, trying to follow the plan. But is it an okay time to say, well, my cash reserve was 6 months. Do I want to drop it down to 3? And right now, I don't think so. I mean, to me, there's so much unknown over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Why even bother? And stop trying to get the best price and try to get a good price instead. There's a time and a place for that. Accelerate your dollar cost averaging if you want. You're already squeezing your budget by working from home and, some of that stuff anyway. Squeeze it a little bit more if you want. But I don't like the idea of going, well, my cash reserve was 6 months. I'm going to drop down to 2 months because I think it's a great price of stocks.
This feels like a good time for us to, and we don't have him on the schedule, but and maybe we can get him for one of these. Talk to Dr. Daniel Crosby. How how he's always got all these statistics, and it's funny because he just gives you he gives you number after number after number after number that proves what he said in his TEDx video, which is you're not that special. Like your chance of
you're not in Lake Wobegon, right, where everybody's above average.
Yeah, just play the numbers like when we had Annie Duke on, talking about poker. Play the numbers. Don't play this guessing game of maybe I can hit it big now. Play the statistics. The best gamblers actually do very little gambling.
Right. A great book that might be helpful for this context also is called Your Money in Your Brain by Jason Zweig. See, that's the Benadryl talking. Yes. The other story that I think is really applicable is to really give yourself some context, and it sounds really trite to say, stay the course. It sounds like you just don't care, if the financial advisor says, oh, just stay the course, this will be over soon enough, and whatever. But I like kind of framing it in different contexts to kind of give us a perspective. So it's March the 9th, 2009, Joe, and the S&P has just hit a bottom. You're on the phone with OG, your broker, or whatever, and you go, I can't take it anymore. Sell me to cat, and you have a stroke and you go unconscious, right? But because you never said those words, you never got the order out in its entirety, the broker can't execute the trade. So you're in a coma for 11 years. You come to on April the 1st of 2020. The first thing you think of is, what did he do with my money? Please, God, tell me he went to cash. And you say to the doctor, Doc, how's the S&P doing? And the doctor goes, not great, man. It's down like 30%. It's all the way down to like 2,600 now. What was the S&P at in March of 2009?
I don't know.
What number do you remember?
I don't.
What's 2,600 now, give or take? What do you think?
Yeah,
Pick a number.
1,700.
Yeah, the answer is 600. It was around 600. The freaking S&P 500 11 years ago was at 600. I get it. It was the bottom. It was the bottomest of the bottoms, right? I understand. But even then, you come out of your coma and the doctor just lays it on you that the S&P is down 30%. And you go, wait, what's it at? It's at 2,600. So I'm up 4 times in the last decade? Yeah, but it's way down from the high. Oh, okay, but I'm still up 400%.
Versus had you gone to cash, right? I mean, do that math. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many anecdotal stories. I remember doing workshops in the early part of the 2010s where people would just say, I'm still waiting for the market to come back and then I'm going to get back in. And then you get past that point. Like, where is it too far? And it's just so hard and it's impossible to be right twice. Just, yes, I know, Philip, that what the bottom was. I can see it. I'm rounding to take some liberties with my story.
Bill's asking if we should buy broad index funds. We had one on today's show that we think people should buy that we created. Rosie, I demand SB more than 3 times a week. Rosie, that's what happened to my hair. See this? This was 3 days a week. This is 3 days a week hair right here.
It was bushy, it's curly.
That's very nice.
It was like a perm.
It was. Could you see me with a big old?
You used to,
big old fro. Yes. Hardcore history. Have you listened to hardcore history? You would really like talking about people who like hardcore history. While you're out there getting poison ivy, you should listen to hardcore history because it's fantastic. Automate said saving should be save or invest. Yeah. Yeah, nothing we can do about that now. We already found out that once we put these things up, Gertrude and I, we figured out once we put these things up, you can't change them. We had a couple that we wanted to change. And so next year, but hopefully we have basketball next year so we can go back to doing what we do better, OG, which is hanging out with our friends at the bar. Because remember, that's what we did a year ago. And that was a blast. I just moved to Detroit and that was fun. Mark says, if you were a betting man, oh boy. These are my favorite questions. You were a betting man, had some sandbox money put to work. What sectors are beaten up the most, but have a good chance of rebounding on the other side of this? Consumer discretionary. Okay, first thing, Mark, I'm going to tackle this. The weird thing about this, OG, and you and I talked about this once, this market's been pretty damn indiscriminate, right? I mean, it has been across the board, which means that we've got, we don't have the stuff with the lowest standard deviation going down the least. We got everything going down.
Yeah. There's the kind of phrase, any port in a storm type of phrase comes to mind. And it's like, well, but all of them are getting clobbered. I think the problem, and you talked about this before, is that the short-term unknowable stuff is just too unknowable. There's all this good news that's happening, stimulus money and small business owners are getting help and, big businesses are getting help and airlines are getting help and cruise ships are getting, all these places are getting help, but it remains to be seen how that translates into economic growth, how it translates into, people keeping their jobs beyond, the next 8 weeks. And it's such a game that I have such little interest in trying to play because I don't know about you, but every single time that I've tried to do something like really put my time and energy and effort into going, all right, maybe the unemployment number is going to be really bad this week. It's probably going to be the worst ever. So the market's got to go down on that, right? I mean, if we're expecting 200,000, the number comes in at 2 million. I mean, you got to bet that the market's going down, right? And then 3 million is the number. You're like, there it is. The market's going to crash. And what did it do last Thursday? up 6%. It's just, I don't think that you can sit there with a company. Oh, number one performer on the Dow last month. This will knock your socks off. What do you think?
Number one performer on the Dow last month?
Yes. So obviously Dow was down. You know, the whole market was down. There were some stocks that were positive. Number one.
I can't even guess.
Boeing.
Boeing, number one.
Mm-hmm. And
the company that clearly isn't making money and has already given guidance that they're not making money for a good long time.
So here's the other part of that question. So if it was the number one performer last month, Joe, or year to date or something like that, I'm trying to remember exactly what the time frame was that I saw this. But my point is that there's it might not have been last month, but I remember seeing this slide last night going, how in the heck can that be the thing? There's no way that company, you know what I mean, is being successful, and yet their stock price reflected, you know, that it was positive. So anyways, I hate playing this game. That's kind of my take on it. It's like, you know, how can you try to do that?
I'm going to, so I'm going to bite. Of course I will. The thing that I did that I talked about doing before, this is not advice. This is not what I would do. But this is what I did, was I took some money that is long-term, and I increased the standard deviation, but kept with an index. So what I did was I moved to to small cap value with a little more money. And the reason I did that is because small cap value goes down more and goes up more. So not trying to play the game of when is it down at the bottom, but knowing that this is a bigger roller coaster ride than before, I increase the intensity of the roller coaster ride some. I also know that when you stick with these broad indexes, they're self-cleaning, which means that they have different criteria for these indexes. So as an example, the S&P 500 is a self-cleaning index. When a company really doesn't perform, it's going to get taken out of the S&P 500. So you'll always have companies that are the 500 biggest companies in the United States that are in that index. Company falls, I don't have to worry about changing it up in my portfolio. Well, small cap value index to some degree is similar that way. So wouldn't do that. But that's what I've done. OG, I'm with you playing a sector bet game right now. Which sector?
All right, so I got to make a correction, because we're going to get totally blasted on this. I am 1000% misremembering this. Boeing was not the number one performer last month, but and I can't find the source of it because I was looking for it. But in any event, it's impossible to pick, you know, those stocks in advance or the sectors in advance, because just when you think it's going to be, you know, okay, it's going to go the other way. So
this is what I love about doing a video versus doing the podcast, where we can hit pause. And the podcast at that point, we always hit pause.
We go, what was the answer to this? I got to find it now that I'm looking for it. It's all live television, folks, and 10 shots of Benadryl.
Everybody, it might be the Benadryl saying that Boeing was number one. Maybe that was a fever dream. Who knows? Rosie says it looks good. Ramon says it's not great. Very interesting. All right. John, Joe's to move everything to bonds and then shift everything back to equities and the market hits bottom. There it is. That's exactly me calling it. Ozark has a season 3. You've watched Ozark, right?
Yeah, I have. And I think I got stuck halfway through season 2, I think.
I've heard that Ozark is fantastic. I watched the first half of episode 1 and liked it, but for some reason got called away and just never went back. I gotta go back and finish that. Finish that up. So he protects the paying clients. Good job. But us, it doesn't matter. Well, I don't know. I don't know what that means, money saver. There is a difference though between a podcast and between somebody who has access all the time. Yes, there actually is a difference between those two. I heard for reverse course and blame it on the Benadryl.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to find where I found this at so that I can at least have some sort of, a reconciliation.
Eric used to be a friend of mine. He votes for Farnoosh over me. Sorry, guys, just trying to keep up a little bit here, guys, as we go.
Yeah, it was definitely
Ian
not
says,
Boeing.
I like
I don't know
this.
what I
I did.
saw.
What's that?
I said it was definitely not Boeing. I don't know what I saw. I'm going to find it now because it's driving me crazy.
I did some tax loss harvesting in my brokerage account, sold VTI and VOO, but did not get out. Still in it for the long run. Showed 5K in loss. Anything else I should do with the lost? No, just remember non-qualified account that you're going to have to stay out of there for a little bit, Ian, before you get back in. If you plan to go back to the original one, otherwise there's something called the wash sale rule that you're going to have to watch out for. So, good there. Thank you, Dana. It was very nice. You might have caught me at a part of the show that we don't talk about. So anybody else want to see Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, and me in a Step Brother sequel with OG as Adam Scott's new husband? Boy, that sounds like a train wreck, OG. They think that Tiger King's a train wreck. How about that one?
I would love to see whoever this Saul-Sehy guy is.
I know. Who is that guy? Brian's got a good question. I got a 15-year mortgage, considering refinancing to a 30-year to maintain better cash flow in case things go sideways. What do you think about that, OG?
Yeah, if that's something that's a real possibility in your world, not a terrible idea, but I would be very cautious to jumping into that for the only reason that because of the way mortgages are structured, you end up having to pay all that cost is in the first third of the term of the mortgage. So even though the cash flow is going to be less 20 years from now, you're going to be worse off probably. If you happen to be in a business or in an industry that's really, really, really hurting right now, it might, there might not be a choice, but I would look at other programs that your bank probably has access to before jumping into something as permanent as a refinance. You can call your bank if you're having troubles and ask them what their programs are for deferral. Most banks at this point are offering 3, if not 6-month deferrals on mortgages. We already heard student loans are at 0%, no payments due till the end of September for federal loans. So if it happens to be one of those circumstances where you got take a look at your cash flow. Try to get some grace first before you do some permanality.
This is a part of know yourself too, and this is why I also like automating your financial picture. So if you go from a 15 to a 30, I would automatically have them put in the 15 amount until money goes, until things get bad for you, if you decide to do that, because statistics show that if you're going to pay extra on your mortgage, you don't do it unless you automate it, right? The other thing is that if you don't have a big enough emergency fund, I would still put away the 15 number. But the difference between the 30 and the 15, I would just take that money and put it into your emergency fund to build that up. If you think, things may go off the rails for whatever line of work you're in, whatever your income stream is until now and then. But OG, I think automating that is a huge, huge, huge point.
Yeah. Going from 15 to 30 is a tough pill to swallow.
See, there really is nobody named Brian. Brian looks like me. And then of course, Jack, apologizes to Brian. Brian does kind of look like me, doesn't he? Let's go back to that. There he is. Yes. He's a more handsome version of me. Rosie, stimulus check equals coffee and chocolate since tax season extended till 7. Think about that. This July change, OG, does that change the date that people can make their IRA contributions?
It does. Yeah, it affects everything. You've got all the time in the world now. No excuse. So I think if you owe money, again, not having to pay it till July is great. No penalties to do that. If you're going to get money back, I don't know that I would wait.
I think that we've got, let me see if I've got something. Okay. Nobody look at your Google, but we're going to give away a couple t-shirts here, OG, because Gertrude has a trivia question for me. And we're going to give people just the next, let's say 30 seconds to guess. So get your answer in quick. Don't Google. This is on the honor system, guys. By the way, if you're cheating at a game online to win a free t-shirt, you probably have to rethink your life priorities, right? So just to put that in context. Tina asked, when was the last time Easter Sunday and April Fool's Day occurred on the same day? What was the year? What year? And we're going to give away a couple of shirts. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. Were you on this email that Brad sent yesterday, OG, about a new t-shirt?
Not sure that I saw it.
Brad's got a new one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put it on the screen here, but he's got a new one that's Ben in red, white, and blue, and it just says Stack across the bottom.
Nice.
Some good stuff there. So 1971, 2018, 1986, 2019, the last time Easter Sunday and April Fool's Day happened at the same time. Nobody's got it yet. Only one guess per customer here, please. They're the new rules, Chris. Nobody's guessed the date yet, though. Sam's got an interesting one. Would never say never. Last time, Easter Sunday and April Fool's Day. This is, I haven't had time to verify this, but it's Gertrude, so we're good. See if we got any others. And I'm wondering if this pauses or we're going to count down like 15 more seconds, guys. See Bill with 1982, Stephen at 1900. 3, 2, 1. The year here is 1956. 1956 was the year, which means we've got Susan pretty close. I think Brian at 1948 is our winner. And next closest, is that going to be Matthew in 1972? I think Susan's a year closer at 1939, right? Do we got anybody closer than that? Let me see. I think we've got Susan and so Gertrude will message you guys. So Brian, actually, I don't know. Do we know how to message people on YouTube? Brian, write me an email. We know that Susan is in the basement. And we got to meet Susan in Dallas when we were there doing the live show. But Brian, shoot me an email, joe@stackingbenjamins.com, and we'll get you hooked up. All right.
Here's a quiz question for you. How do you know when Easter is? How can you tell? Like, it bounces around, right?
Yeah.
So what day is always Easter?
Easter occurs on the Sunday after the first full moon on or following vernal equinox. Sometimes coincides with April Fool's Day. The next time it's going to occur is in 2029, by the way.
There you go. Yes.
According to this unverified place that Gertrude pulled up.
Probably got the same information about that as I got my stock picking advice from earlier. The internet.
The Rosie. My daughter's doing great in Japan. She's a little worried because they're getting ready to open things in Japan, and her understanding is that very few people have actually been tested. So while she hasn't seen a lot of coronavirus around her, and things have remained open, but not that many people going out, she is worried about things picking up there. But she works in schools teaching English in Japan, and that's going to open again. The bad news was, as OG knows, I was supposed to be there right now. So we would have been coming home on Saturday of this week. So we would have finished. So looks like we're going to end up going early next year instead, which stinks because we haven't seen her since August. But thanks for asking. She's doing really well. Jacob asked, if I already filed, can I still contribute to last year's Roth IRA? Is there a way to do that, OG?
Well, yeah, the technical answer is no. Your tax filing, your Roth IRA contributions are due by your tax filing deadline, or when you file your taxes. So I think the answer is once you've already filed, you're kind of out of luck. I'm not entirely sure how audited this actually is. So here's my general disclaimer. Talk to your CPA or tax professional about how to handle this. Get a qualified opinion from somebody.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Was that we're getting a final decision. We're getting a Google challenge too. Not the first time. So twice on today's that we can't pause or look stuff up. You can tell that today we just said, let's get online and chat with our friends. So we'll take a look at that. And if it is 2018, we're still going to give those 2 shirts out, and we'll just give out more. Who said 2018? Money Saver said 2018. I like how Money Saver says it was 2018, and then says Google says it was 2018, or does Money Saver not say that? Luke also got 2018. So we've got we got a couple people. So we may be giving out 4 shirts. Money Saver remembers it from my friend who was born on Easter, April 1st. Yes. I'm chatting with Gertrude here. Yes. To Money Saver and to Luke R. Lang as well. Getting one. So we'll give away 4 shirts. You were to spread the love,
was it really
OG.
The other day?
What's that?
Last year? I said, was it really just last year?
It was 2018.
2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah.
Way to go, Gertrude.
Lori asked, my son made it back to the West Coast. He did. Thank you for asking about that. It was sad not having him here. It's good to have a routine again because he was on West Coast time. So he worked upstairs for the entire day, but he was always in West Coast meetings, which meant that he was working until 8 and 9 at night every night. And then I would end up hanging out with him until midnight, which, it's just hard. I always thought that being in the basement all the time would be just a blast. But the fact that just the whole schedule's messed up, and, I never thought about how much I like going to restaurants until you don't go. So that's very, very strange. He was on a half full plane, and they let them sit wherever they wanted. So he was able to sit a long way away from everybody. And then he washed his clothes the second that he got home. By the way, I also talked to our good friend Paula this morning again. Paula is doing great. For those of you that don't know, and she's been very public about this, that she tested positive for coronavirus. And while her fever broke, she still feels just completely tired all the time. So that's been very frustrating for her. In fact, we just recorded a roundtable, and at the last minute, she well, not even the last minute, a couple days beforehand, I wrote to her and I said, you don't want to be on this. She's like, nope, I don't want to be on it. And I'm going to show everybody the meme that she sent me. I asked her how she was doing, and let's see if you can see this. This is from Paula. That's how she said she feels. So not great. 103.7 OG. That's quite a temperature.
103.7. The jazz.
Yeah, not the heat. That would be 103.7 the heat. That's ugly. I've also been talking to David quite a bit lately, about probably 3 times in the last couple of weeks. I love keeping up with him living in Florence, and his pictures. If you're not following David and in Florence, are you following him, OG, on Instagram?
Mm-mm.
He's always out by the Arno River and looking out over Florence, and has some very motivational messages. It's been really cool. Let me see what else we got. Danny, you gotta pick it out. By the way, if you win a shirt, just so you guys know, we send those as a code, and that code's like cash. We've already paid for it. So if you don't use it in a month, then we turn it around. But I think people don't realize that those are for us, they're cash. So hand it out to somebody, give it away, but use it for that Haven Life shirt, and grab it. So grab the shirt. Next up, let's see what else we got. I think it's it. Farnoosh said David on our podcast this week. Yes. Yep. I saw, by the way, that's somebody else who's fun to follow on social media is Farnoosh. So guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I got to head to the next activity. You guys probably have other stuff to do. Let's do this again. Danny, if it expired, just write to Gertrude and let her know that it expired, and we'll take care of it. So no big deal. But anyway, thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed today's show. We had fun making it. It was great being able to have Farnoosh on the show for us, to have a little bit of April Fool's fun. Making our new fake commercial was fun. We're this month we're creating a lot of new fake commercials. In fact, just to pull back the curtain a little bit, we've had some great creative meetings. We also have some great guests coming up on Friday. Sandy Smith will be back. If you've never heard Sandy on our show, she's hilarious. She's going to be part of our roundtable. I believe Paul is on that one. I think we recorded that one before coronavirus, which means we're probably going to have a front end on it that says, hey, this is going to be a little normalcy in the middle of everything. We'll also, by the way, have George Kurtica from Joust on this week talking about the PPP. Seriously, if you know somebody that owns a business and they don't know about the PPP, tell them that these people are employing people, and it's not about just the business owner. It's about these people continuing to get a paycheck. It's a better resource for anybody that has a job than the $1,200 stimulus check. $1,200 stimulus check is nothing compared to keeping a paycheck, and the PPP allows people to do that. So anybody you know that runs a business, and by the way, it can be a business that's just you, so it keeps you going as well. So check that out. There's also another package that they have. It's a little bit more difficult to qualify for, but George will be on this week, and PT, our friend Philip Taylor from FinCon, will be on next week talking about that. Speaking of next week, our guest next Monday, we're going to have on the guys from the How to Money podcast. That's going to be fun. If you know Joel and Matt, they're a great time. How to Money is a really fun show. Glad that we have Joel and Matt on. And on Wednesday, John Johnson, who looks behind statistics. And OG, when I started my career, my mentor said, beware charts and graphs. And you know as well as anybody knows that a chart and graph can show you anything. And this guy, John Johnson's going to talk to us about how to kind of look through the smoke and mirrors that are statistics.
Like logarithmic graphs.
It can be absolutely ugly.
Very interesting.
All right, guys. Gertrude jumping on. If you like these live hangouts, give the video a like, please, to let us know. Also, sign up for the channel. If you want shorter shows based on headlines, our Money with Friends show every Monday through Saturday. So thanks a ton, guys. Bill's, should we end this before we answer Bill's question? If your podcast is ever going to happen? Definitely your
it's-
pod. Let's put it this way. I know this. Well, I can answer this a little bit for OG. There's no way with OG's schedule right now, with all the crap that just came down, that OG has time to make a podcast. I think I can speak for you there. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's in the projects folder. It's about project number 1,286,000. It's not that far down, but my hope was to have it started and rolling by give or take about the middle of February. Turns out it was probably a good thing I didn't have it started by the middle of February, because everything would have been pretty much outdated right then. So, anyways, it's still coming. We have to find the time to do it. That's the hard part.
Yeah. We get back to some type of normalcy. That's on, as is Doug's super hilarious joke of the week. We already have some episodes recorded for that one too. So we'll be back to that. All right, guys, we'll talk to you. Hopefully have another one of these later in the week. Just stay tuned to the Stacker. All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.